Because I think we're all more easily pacified by picking sides and pointing fingers and not actually getting anything done.
It's easy.
It is easy.
Yeah.
And you know, we all have the desire to be accepted. So when you choose to feel part of one of these groups, pick any group,
yeah.
any kind of group, you get this sort of if they welcome you in, and now you sort of have this sort of badge of honor almost. Now you're fighting for this cause.
Yeah.
Whether or not this is a just cause.
Yeah.
I often argue if you have to justify anything, you're probably not doing what's right.
Right.
And all of them have justification for what they do.
Yeah.
But if any of it was right, maybe something would be working.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like anything is working right now.
No.
And I think the complacency and the just utter apathy is our greatest weapon right now.
Their greatest weapon?
Our greatest enemy, their greatest weapon.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we're all guilty.
Yeah.
You know, like I have conversations with, you know, I work at the hospital, and everyone is from a degree of borderline paranoia to just genuine discontent. And, you know, like we'll have, you know, we're not really, at least in my department, you're not really allowed to really stop and have a conversation ever.
Yeah.
But, you know, like you have these brief conversations occasionally, and you get this same tone that, you know, like we're both not happy with our situation. And I'm not talking about just the job. I'm talking about very little just the job. The job is a very small part of the problem.
It's a general situation.
Exactly. It's this whole nationwide issue.
The rent always be late, and the money ain't never enough.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. And you can never do enough work.
Yeah.
And there's always too many employees.
Yeah.
You know, so you just have this paranoia and discontent, and everyone's answer is, well, you know, let's just go home, crack open a beer, and turn on the TV and forget it happened.
Yeah.
And everyone's just kind of, or seems to be pleased with that.
Plug-in pacifiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we go home and you know, and we're all guilty. I come home and turn on my record player or my iPod. You know, we're all guilty.
Yep.
Which is why I try to make, I do make an effort to make serious sacrifices. I've cut out many of my creature comforts. I don't own a car. I haven't paid for cable TV in God knows how long. You know, I don't, you know, like all these things that pacify everyone, I have no desire for. And it's not just a combating against. I have no desire for these things, so I deal with the duality of that. Well, maybe I don't have the right to criticize these people because these are actually things that I don't want.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'll accuse these people of being robots. And I don't really have the right to do that either.
Not without accusing yourself in the same sweep.
Exactly.
I think that's the only way that it is acceptable to throw those words around, is if you use the words we instead of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where I come from with every critical comment I make is something that I myself am guilty of.
Yeah.
Ordinary Joe is Travis Gibbs. He
Yeah.
is this robot on this assembly line.
Yeah.
I am guilty of it too.
Yeah. But this also exists.
That also exists, and I think I'd like to believe that everyone who is walking around as Ordinary Joe also has an anti-hero. And that's what I want to tap into.
Yes.
I do not have the right to claim that this person is empty and all this person thinks about is baseball stats and Dancing with the Stars.
No.
But I do believe that they understand that it's easier to pretend that that's all they have going on in their head.
Exactly.
And that's what I want to stop. That's social construct theory. That's you know, like this is social programming. You know, we're not supposed to talk about these things because they're hard and it's difficult to find any answers for. Well, the fact that we're not talking about it and the fact that most of us are pretending to be oblivious to the problem because I don't think that many people are truly oblivious to the problem. I just think they throw their hands up, and who can blame them?
or they, if they focus on on the problem, they choose one aspect of the problem and get kind of tunnel vision and do the blame game.
Exactly.
Those damn Democrats are doing it again.
Exactly. Exactly. And vice versa.
Yeah.
And we pick sides, and personally, I don't believe in Democrat and Republican. I don't believe in any of these party systems. We are a one-party government.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as Democrat. There is no such thing as democracy. Democracy is a goal to be obtained. We are not a democracy.
No.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah. We have a democratic theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that ownership is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Our ability to own things is what makes us free.
Yeah.
As far as Americans are concerned.
And well, the rights attached with ownership. The idea of the home as a castle, illegal search and seizure, those sorts of ideas.
The right to bear arms to protect your castle.
Yep. The right to free speech, the right not to incriminate yourself, the right to remain silent, innocent till proven guilty.
All of these things are slipping away.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we're demanding them be taken away from us as well.
Yeah. One of the things I've always, to slip into some political conversation is for all the people that are now currently up in arms, all puns intended, about the right to bear arms, I would agree with them and issue a challenge of what are your feelings on the Patriot Act?
Yeah.
And the National Defense Authorization Act and drone attacks, the indefinite detentions that are occurring. It always starts with somebody else, and whatever we are inflicting in the name of national security overseas is only one step away, if not already occurring within our own shores, to our own people, to American citizens. I personally believe, it's already been happening.
Me too.
You can't, assassinations of American citizens for the sake of national security. It's already happening. It just has not been conclusively proven to the masses.
Right. And we also choose not to believe these things.
Yeah.
You still have people that refuse to believe that Pearl Harbor was allowed to happen.
Yeah. Or, the 9/11 idea.
Of course, and that's really what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But, it's a little less emotional.
That's the third rail.
Exactly, exactly. And I've tried to tone down the more, I don't want people to accuse me of going for shock value, because none of my art is vulgar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm really trying to be diplomatic in that approach.
Yeah.
And in my poetry, they'll deal with the harder side of my perspective on things. But as far as the art, which I do believe will draw people in, though I will admit that it's a closed fist, and it's pretty honest about being a closed fist, it's a well-meaning closed fist.
Yeah.
So I don't want to alienate people or be easily accused of being a conspiracy theorist.
Right. Well, we're going to set that all aside for now, because really that's a bit of a rabbit hole in itself.
Yeah.
And one of the weapons of mass distraction.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing I'm getting out of this conversation in regards to your artwork and this show in particular is, and another strange coincidence with my underlying motives for the magazine is that you're simultaneously deconstructing identity and sort of a dismantling and disenfranchisement over here, while also simultaneously empowering.
Yes.
And trying to enliven and awaken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Another aspect of the duality.
Yes.
And another very poetic aspect of the show.
And you'll catch me blurring the lines between both.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to be able to feel like they can fully identify with the anti-hero character or the ordinary Joe character.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to think that either one of them is really the bad guy.
Yeah.
But I will be putting them both in very questionable situations.
Yeah.
I will be blurring the lines. Like I said, anti-hero is a very conflicted character, which you can tell from this piece.
Mm-hmm.
But it is also, in a way, like I call it bleeding demons, and I'll use that term as like sort of finding a way to, release your negativity. And, just to, obviously, my imagination goes to more gritty styles of art.
Well, there's a layering to the words there too, because, you have bleeding demons as if, one, you have demons that are just actually bleeding, like, but the idea of bleeding, in the old school medical sense, of
exactly,
bleeding to cure.
Yes.
And yeah. So
that's actually what the title means.
That was the
it's
inspiration.
bleeding them out.
Gotcha. Nice.
And whether or not that translates in the piece will, I think, remain to be seen.
No. I think it does.
Well, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah. Got the darkness of the blood kind of blending into the tendrils. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think this is a very fruitful conversation. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about your art or the show or life in these United States in general?
One thing that I do want to say about the project, about artists and art in general, is that I want to make a point to tell artists in particular and people who appreciate art that the last great artists have not come and gone. We are living in a new renaissance right now, and every day we decide our own level of involvement. There is an intellectual revolution happening right now, and just the same as the Renaissance, every day we choose our own level of involvement. Art is a tool for critical thinking, and galleries are a forum for dialogue. There's a place for everything, but I do believe that everyone is dealing with all of these issues, always, and we need to be more open and honest about it. There's nothing weak about sincerity. There's nothing wrong with being passionate. Passion often gets misconstrued for anger, and we need to be more aware of the difference. Anger is striking out at someone without really having a cause. You know what I mean? Because I'm not for violence, but I'm not necessarily against violence either. I've personally been in situations where I have been violent and gotten my point across and did exactly what I needed to do. So I'm not 100% against violence, but I will say that I'm probably 85% against violence.
Right.
I do believe that just in sort of the context of, this whole thing about, firearms rights and things like that, the people, I have very mixed feelings towards it. I have very close friends who are very responsible, family-oriented people who have weapons in their homes, have rifles, have shotguns, have pistols, are very responsible people. You would never know these people were gun owners, ever, unless they told you.
Right.
You know what I mean? But this whole argument about taking them away and this and that, really when it comes down to it, if the government wants to step in and take your weapons, it really doesn't make a difference. The revolution that needs to happen in this country is an intellectual revolution. If you were to take up arms against, if we were to form a citizen militia against cops and military, all we'd be doing is killing ourselves. And these things can be done. But we're not actually going to fix the problem. Power is fragile. That's the paradox. It's a revolving door. It changes in direction constantly.
Power is fragile.
It comes and goes.
I like that phrase.
Yeah, it is.
Do you mind if I use it, or is that from
use it.
Okay.
It's power is fragile. Real power is influence. Influence is the greatest weapon. And I should say tool, because I don't want to alienate people. I don't want to scare people.
Yeah. Weapon can be a polarizing term.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, it's a tool.
Yeah.
And art is a language. Art is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need to practice critical thinking, and artists, I think, really ought to be willing to take the responsibility
Mm-hmm.
to stand on the front lines in this intellectual revolution, because everything that inspires or controls us through influence is actually brought about by artists, whether these artists are being commissioned by corporate media
Mm-hmm.
to produce art to influence our lifestyle,
Right.
or vice versa.
To encourage consumerism and conformity,
Exactly.
or more intellectually aggressive art, I guess is one way to put it.
Yeah.
That's trying to awaken
Yeah.
and
And
deconstruct.
exactly. I don't blame any artist for making a living.
Mm-hmm.
This show in particular has cost me a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice to make some back. I'm not counting on it. I wanted to make a statement, and I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sacrifice that I've made.
Mm-hmm.
This show has been a huge financial sacrifice for
Yeah.
me. If we were all just willing to sacrifice a little bit in the name of doing something meaningful,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we could take sort of our next evolutionary step.
As a collective whole.
Exactly. To
Yeah.
create a collective consciousness.
Yeah.
You know, people throw around the term common sense a lot. Common sense is another thing that
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
Yeah.
If we all practiced good sense, we would achieve a common sense. You know, you can't hold people to a standard that doesn't exist.
That's a fine point. That's a fine point.
And that's, you know, if we all just be more honest with ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
we would find ourselves being more honest externally. And then maybe we could form some sort of collective consciousness. And that to me is the intellectual revolution as it stands right now, because I don't have a better way to word it or a better way to present it yet. But I'm
Yeah.
going to continue working on this, and I hope to, you know, this project is very much a call to arms. I'm hoping that other people who think along the same lines as you and I do
Mm-hmm.
will reach out and
Yeah.
want to find a way to collaborate and bring ourselves together. And I'm not talking about trying to recruit people to be part of the anti-hero project. You know what I mean? It'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
But what I mean is finding a way to just collaborate ideas, styles. There's no reason that the Anti-Hero Project can't collaborate with the Resident Alien Project
Right.
and all these other things. You know, like, we need a new renaissance. The new renaissance is happening right now.
Yes.
We just need to become more organized.
All the pieces are here at hand.
Exactly. Let's start putting the puzzle together.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are the answer to the problem. We are the problem. We are also the solution.
Again, duality.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, fantastic, brother. On that note, when is the show?
March 23rd
March 23rd
through April 20th.
through April 20th. And there's a good, compelling reason for people to be here on opening night.
Yes, definitely. I have a surprise planned. I'm
Yep.
keeping it pretty close to the chest.
Okay.
Be there around 8 o'clock.
Around 8 p.m.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, come anytime, but if you want to see the project in its entirety, be there 8-ish.
All right. Well, the Scope magazine will be there.
Cool. Appreciate
All
it.
right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate the interest.
Yeah.
And
Dude.
I know I'm very roundabout. I go into this crazy stream of consciousness and I
Yeah.
can't quite rein in all of my thoughts and ideas, and I do apologize for that.
Don't. Like, I think that's part of the process, I think, of how the collective unconscious reveals itself, and how we best communicate is through sort of both concrete connections and abstract connections,
Mhm.
and the stream of consciousness is one way to get there. You know, it's, you know, we need to kind of let things get unfiltered at times in order to kind of get out of this mindset and like drift towards this one.
Yes.
And kind of see things in the swirl.
Yes.
You know, in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the answer's in there somewhere.
Yeah.